Hi, my smart peeps of Holy Prepared. Coming to you now to try and catch up, I guess. Something I should have made probably about a week ago. But for now, it's a quick thing on how to get some things together just in case things go south. There's a lot of talk about what will happen at the election, no matter which side wins. And it's a good idea that you have everything in place to make sure that you're as safe as you can be. If you haven't thought about it until now, please do what you can with what you have around you. Okay, I have a little list. Nothing's in any particular order, but this is called Holy Prepared. So I want to make sure that you have some preparation or thoughts of preparation that you can do as soon as possible before the 3rd, which isn't far. This is the 29th, so okay. So first off, just be aware of your surroundings. Make sure you know any place that's vulnerable around the place that you live, and try to make it as hard to get into your place as possible with whatever you have at your means. Anything indisposable. I'm sure that not many of us have a lot of money, so some of the stuff I'm going to say has to do with not trying to spend a lot of money. Okay. Keep watch of your local news as well. Because it's the local that you need to worry about. Some cities will be okay. Some areas of different cities will also be okay. Personally, my own sister lives in Portland, in the middle of Portland, and has no issues whatsoever, has had no problems whatsoever with her particular neighborhood. So some of us, I'm sure, will live in areas that seem scary, but they just happen to have a good neighborhood. And in good neighborhoods, neighbors also watch out for each other. So not always do they say that, but people do tend to watch out for each other sometimes without telling each other, unless they see something, and then they'll go and tell the neighbor, hey, this is happening to your car or something like that. So it just depends on where you are. Just be aware of where you are and everything around you. But the local news will also help with what could be on its way toward you. So keep watch of the local news for that. Also, you can get apps that alert you for trouble in your area. There's the Nextdoor app, the Neighbor app, I think, is another one. There's a few of them like that. So you could probably join them and get more information from people that are around you. People tend to gravitate toward apps better. Also, some of those apps they verify you. So that also makes people feel more comfortable opening up, say, hey, I'm your neighbor, let's watch each other's back, stuff like that. Another thing is, now this is one that a prepper said, and I think this is a good idea, is about deterrent. You may not have an affordable system on your house or anything like that, but if you're a gun owner, I wouldn't say this unless this was real, but you could make up just a thing for your window and your front door and your back door, and to stick it up there on there and say something like, this house is protected by Smith & Wesson. That will make a person go to the next house that doesn't have anything. They know that the possibility of you being on the other side of that door with a gun is scary, and they don't want to deal with that. Most criminals and all criminal behavior is very, whatever they find easy. Because if yours looks too hard, they can just move on. So that's the point. That's the point of all this. Make your place look hard to deal with. Okay. There's another one. Another thing too is protecting your windows. It's like, making sure that if something were to be thrown at your window, that it doesn't just shatter into a million pieces and completely exposed. A big X or several X's of duct tape on your windows would help tremendously if there was a rock thrown at them. There's also clear coat, like it's kind of like vinyl, sticky vinyl, but it's clear. You can put on windows and it makes them almost like safety glass. You can get that at Home Depot, I heard. I have huge windows and rent, and I just don't want to deal with that. So if I find that I'm here, that a large mob is coming toward my place, I'll do the duct tape. Okay. Also, if you have, it depends how much you have, right? If you have boards that you can board up your windows, or some windows that you think, that you don't use or don't even look out of, you can board them up early ahead of time and you have the money for the boards, go for it. Anything to keep your place protected and look kind of like it's hard to get into and hard to deal with. Okay, so what else? Liquidate your money. Make sure you have a safe. You do have to have a safe for this one, or a really, really good hidey hole, like in your wall that you can't get into unless you know it's there, something like that. But liquidating your money right now might be a good idea. I literally cleaned out my bank account for that reason. Make it fives and tens. I don't care what you hear about a moneyless system right now on the street. People take money and they'll stay taking money for a while. So if we go into, God forbid, a civil war, the money is what counts. Your numbers in your bank account won't matter to anybody if you can't pay them, and they won't want it to be traceable if you do stuff on the street with people that, like, say somebody has oranges, you don't have any, they're not going to want your credit card. Trust me on that. So it's a thought. A couple $1,000 at least, if you want to, if you have it to liquidate, would be a good idea to have on hand. But make sure that it's somewhere, not under your bed, somewhere that a criminal came into the house and they turned your house upside down, they still couldn't find it, something like that. Okay. What else? Make sure that you have everything in place, that if your electricity goes out, if you have enough. For now, it's getting cold, even where some people in Arizona are saying it's getting cold. So if the electric goes out, make sure that you have, something handy that you can, plenty of warm blankets, things like that. Just watch the weather. That's important for now, because we don't know what's going to happen and how long it will happen for. So think about that. What happens if your electricity goes out? How will you feed yourself? How will you heat yourself? Things like that. How will you light things? Make sure that you keep those thoughts in your head, and anything you can afford to protect against that contingency. What else? Try to get at least 2 weeks of food. Most people can't afford 2 weeks of food at a time. And get stuff that's easy, like spaghetti. You can get good spaghetti noodles. You don't have to get regular pasta. You can get vegetable pasta spaghetti noodles and protein pasta spaghetti noodles, which makes an excellent all-around dish all by itself. You add the sauce and you got it made. So you could do that, stock up on that. Rice, of course, dry beans of all kinds, stuff like that, canned soups, ramen always, stuff like that. Also, vitamins and medicine. If you can make one extra trip to the, pharmacy to make sure you're completely caught up on all your medicine. Also, anything that you might need for, cuts, bruises, and also stuff like Benadryl and your, typical stuff like that you wouldn't think of, maybe that you're running low on. Keep all that in your house. Make sure you're fully stocked for stuff like that, just in case you can't go out. Let's just say you can't go out for 2 weeks. Seriously, you're fine, but going out to the store, between you and the store, is unsafe. So you have to consider that. What would happen if between you and the store, the closest store, is unsafe to go through? What are you going to do then? That's what you got to think about. I wouldn't worry too much about water. Everybody's like, water, and I'm like, why? I don't understand that. Yeah, you might, if you have a water filter. I have one of those water filters you stick on the sink. Just there, right there, real simple. You change the filters. But, even regular sink water, you could boil that a big pot of it once a day for your drinking water. So I wouldn't worry too much about water, at least in this particular contingency that's happening now. So for security systems, you have what you have. Try to get extra locks put on your doors. You can do them yourself if you have the ability. Um, uh, and then last but not least, like a second place to go to at the very worst. Some place that you would have that you go to. You may not be able to stay there. Like maybe everybody in that place would have to leave too, but a place that you feel that there's more people that you could be with, that you guys could all make a decision maybe to go from there. Just the more people that you can think of that would be inclined to do things your way, depending on how you're bent. If you have like a prep kind of bent, you want to go to other people who have the same kind of bent. If you're someone who's completely unprepared, sometimes it's best to go with somebody who is also that unprepared, and you guys are more like a force together, and then you start thinking prep together that way and what you're going to do from there. So you got to think about these things all ahead, and go from there. Now, as far as like what we have to do for like spirituality, I have these two verses. Okay, Revelation 3:10. Because you have kept my word about patient endurance, I will keep you from the hour of trial that is coming on the whole world, to try those who dwell on the earth. 2 Peter 2:9. Then the Lord knows how to rescue the godly from trials, and to keep the unrighteous under punishment until the day of judgment. These are both very helpful verses in this time. I do believe we're in the last days, but I don't know how far last. And a lot depends on what the president does. Seriously, it's amazing how much depends on what the president does, but it's true. How he decides how far he wants to go down the New World Order lane. Right now, he's going down too much of it, in my opinion, but a lot of people say that if he's elected, he's going to turn around from even that much. So we will see, but I think it's important that he is elected again. We kind of already know what the other side's going to do, and it is never going to be good for any of us. So we need to pray that way, but not just for the president, which, you're supposed to pray for your president, not for who the president is going to be, but we need to pray for ourselves as far as God take control of our country. God take control of our area. People have got to remember, Christians have got to remember that God doesn't take over an area that's of free will. And if you haven't asked him to do that, he won't do that. He can't do that. There's rules he's got to follow. Satan is the god of this world. Jesus said that himself. That's the way it is ever since Adam gave back the lease. So, the only way we can get anything back is our little area. We can take back part of our world that we own, that we possess at the moment, and we can put God in it. That's what Jesus made happen for us. Before that couldn't even happen. Now we can take back our section. We can pray for if it's your country, whatever country you're in, if it's your country, that you can take to certain ownership of that, and try to just ask God to take control of it. The more people that do that, and they turn their face to him, and they turn their backs on the ways of the world, the more God is able to act. It's not that he doesn't want to, because ultimately he's in control above everything else. But on the lower levels, he has to let. It's the rules that the fallen largely have this world. And as long as we comply with the fallen, the more they're given our ground. We can't give our ground away like that. So to pray, we have to see in our mind's eye and thank God while we're praying in our heart that things are taken control of by God. That we see that this world is better again. That it's better than it was before this whole strain thing happened, or fake pandemic happened. See it the way it was, and even better. and thank God for that, because he can do anything. We just have to let him in. And that not just our lives, but it's our own little world that we possess, and even our country. So we got to pray that way, and we have to pray that often. Continue to pray that, just like that. Keep our heads clear, keep our minds clear that God is in control, and give him that control. Don't just think that way. Give it to him through Jesus, because that's how it went. It's how it is. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but through me. So you have to pray it through Jesus. That's how it works. That's Jesus, the one who made made us able to do this. If all Christians everywhere to pray like that, things would be better. So, and with your spare time, try not to think too much. Read your Bible, do things, that set your mind on good things, the way Paul talked about. And I will see you next time. I will make a video, hopefully at least once a week. I'm going to try to make more. But hopefully this will help you out in preparation both ways. God bless.